Hey guys, Reyfar here, and today I'm gonna finally finish talking about Heat 15. I didn't. I was basically just tired, and I just didn't really feel like doing it for like the longest time. I was trying to build up notes here and there, and I kept putting it off for a start, and I just really tired anyway. So yeah, for a couple of days I've had holidays, so I woke up this morning and I'm like, I feel like doing it today. So this is it. So some stories are gonna sound more weighted than others, mostly because I have more talking points with others, some of others, and yeah, and like. Well, I did want to make it less weighted, so I felt like I'd just keep putting it off forever and ever. Um, and yeah, so I'm like, this should be fine. The end of it, I think I'm just overthinking it. But there probably will be a bunch of times where I have to pause the recording, go look up something, and then like, I mean, you won't see it because the fucking god leaving that in. And then just come back. Yeah. Anything else? No, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, Hit 15 came out earlier this year at AC, which I forget the months, I never remember. I think it was June, July, something like that, bit of the year. I did an early video on the poems, so I'll probably gloss over though. You can watch the video about the poems if you want to read about the poems. I spent a little more time than I probably would have if I put it in here. Also, I think the comics, I probably won't have generally much to say about them either. For no real reason other than just, for no real reason at the moment, I don't generally have too much to say. I did want to look into one, and then I couldn't find much. And then I wasn't too sure where to look. I know, so like I might, if I feel too guilty about it, I'll probably go back and do a video on the comics alone. But I think for now, I'd rather just go, yeah, comics are cool. Because they are. It's just like, yeah. Yeah, so into it. The cover is by Maquenda, which I've tweeted about consistently. I absolutely love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm pretty I think they're sort of unrelated characters. I think it might be a bit skew based on the was it the comic, what was it called, the Dreams in the Sand, just because of really can I hold it, there we go, I can hold it in frame without glare, with the Servine's like really long neck there, which I think when I first saw it, like, that is a really long neck. I know it's more a perspective kind of trick with how it looks, and obviously the hand is hiding it. But yeah, I just that just caught my eye, as well as the is it a tiger or a lion? Oh, the feline's eyes there, just absolutely staring out in the dark. And I think I'm not sure what the footprint was this year. Going into it, the first story in Heat 15, what am I forgetting something? Nope, no, I think is Differential Equations, by StormKitty, and illustrated by Terrible Animal. I really love their artwork. Like, I think I've talked about this before. I follow them for a little bit. Terrible Animal does. They have a Patreon, and they have a sort of comic series going on with I wrote it here. They're Tony and Dean characters, which is like a poodle and a donkey. I absolutely love their style, and it really fits well with the StormKitty story. And let me jump to the end. Yeah, so like definitely Tegan, Gava, and Alopex this year. I'm pretty sure that they're probably the main ones behind deciding what artists go with what stories. They absolutely did a stellar job this year. because so many of the artwork, the artists and their artwork goes really well with the writers and their stories, and I think it's definitely visible with StormKitty's. Just there's something really about Dylan, the main character, who is a coyote and unfortunately not a long-leggy maned wolf boy, which I thought he was because he was very long and leggy. But no, coyotes are still good, and the mole character was Safi, the mole character, with later illustrations, and yeah, so I actually really love the story. So StormKitty, bit of background, has some stories in, they have a story in Will and the Alpha 3, and they also have a story in, they have a story Aid and Comfort in Taboo, which I keep meaning to read Taboo, and a lot of those anthologies that have, I know it's not just Reach editing in them, but like that's what I remember them for. I think he had some help from one of the Canadian editors. I can't remember if it's Tigrot or Voice or Tal, but one of those Canadian ones. So aside from some of the published works that are more recent, they're famous for their Private Heaven kind of story, kind of universe. Years back, it's up there. I've found it finally, and then like I lost it. I didn't write where it was. But yeah, no, actually, I'm interested to go check out their stuff, even though I'm not so keen on like the BDSM or more play surrounding that. The words leave me. I like our dumb subplay. But I do really love the story that they told. So, getting into it, what was it? Yeah, Differential Equations, is basically a story about Dylan, learning not to be a shit, which is a little note I wrote at the top down there. Yeah, it definitely caught on to me the second time reading it through, and, I really, really loved it. Just a lot of definitely the character work with Dylan and the work done with Safi as well. I mean, I'm not. Okay, so to phrase this properly without sounding like a dick, so early on in the story, I always had, my mind was in the typical track where it's like, oh, Safi's just kind of here to fill her role in the story, the conquest, which is basically what Fran is. And then as it goes through, Dylan and her spending time together, it's like, oh, she's a whole person in herself, and StormKitty does a really well job in like not kind of in, I wouldn't say not front loading it, but they just do a really well job with it. So it's a lot more like organic, like their relationship and dealing, getting to know her, and like in terms of a schlubby reader like me, I I felt like I was going along with that kind of character arc that Dylan was. Where it's like, I'm here for the smutty story, but sometimes you get in that mindset and you're like Dylan trying to hook up with Fran at the frat party or the college party on campus. Sorry, the college rave. And and sometimes you forget that there's a story going on, and you come along to someone like Safi. But yeah, no, I absolutely did love this. There's a poodle character later on, which really goes well with Terrible Animal's style. Other notes I've got here is I really liked how cozy the dorm kind of felt, and like had a very, even though it was more just a place that they were in, it felt like a space that they were in even though there wasn't, I guess, not much driving force behind it. It sounds weird, but I actually like what they did with the writing there. Did it continue to the next page? No, that was basically it. Yeah, no, actually, this one definitely grew on me. Like, from what initially I thought was just a good story in Heat 15, it turned out to be actually a really great story when I read it again. Like, when I read it a second time through and saw everything, paid more attention to things and whatever. So I'm definitely more keen to check out StormKitty's work. Um, and where it pops up in all its avenues. I just need to remember to read it and you keep tabs. I should go read probably Taboo because I get a feeling that maybe their story of Will and the Alpha 3 is towards the end. It might be a bit too heavy on its themes for my interests, but I'll check it out. Um, oh, before I go, I will say I absolutely adore Ned. Like besides, yeah, Dylan and Safi being like just those three characters are so interesting. It's like, oh, so cool. Oh, not to mention the artwork towards the end with um yeah, Dylan and Safi getting to know each other. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It was super fucking hot. Absolutely loved that illustration towards the end. One lame thing I wanted to do was I wanted to solve the algebra, the differential equations that we're doing, and then like where it has the illustration at the actually, I think I can show it. Yeah, when it has this illustration at the back, at the end of the story, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I looking at? I mean, I haven't done like, yeah, I did like 2 unit maths at high school, but I haven't done maths in nearly 10 years now. And I'm just like, I think I'm a bit full of myself. I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, once I knew what the fuck I was looking at, and I was generally pretty good. It's just I never learnt the formulas, which is the only reason that I tanked in maths, and I didn't really give a shit about what I'd get for my ATAR. Like I wasn't going to uni, so I was basically just there to finish fucking high school and go on with my job. So next up we've got Elusion by GM Rader. Which I actually have some more notes for this one, don't I? Yup. Which is again another really fun story. Oh, sorry, I'll hold up the nice spread here. Illustrated by the lovely ACE, also more colloquially known as Ace. Which there was some comic thing I was looking at in a video that never came out, where I was unfamiliar with the artist, and if I looked at it for like half a second, I wouldn't recognize the art style. I'm like, yeah, shit, it's that person. But yeah, I like their work. I think, to be honest, I'm not the greatest fan. I like in terms of the style, but I do like it. It's just I don't love it. Yeah, so before I go on, so Ace, she's more famous probably for the Gummy Guts series of I guess illustrations and theme that she's no, I got mixed up with another artist in my head there for a second. But she's famous for Gummy Guts and some kind of a bit more. I can't remember what the word that she used, but she does some gore stuff because Gummy Guts is like a vibrant kind of gory thing, but they're all candy or something like that. The other notes are here. I got the California artist, and they sell prints, commissions, just mostly artsy stuff. But they've got some published works. I don't think it was through any of the Found and Precious, but mostly through her own. I think it was a store NBC had. But yeah, so I think she's got Dackies there or something like that. Again, like I'm familiar, but I'm not wholly familiar with her artwork. So when I get into it, I'll be like, Elusion by GM Rader has an absolutely lovely title. I just adore. So this is their first published story. I did remember that. They are Fox and they are a dude. And the photo that I saw of them when they were AC at the Sofawolf book, I think they were holding their copy of Heat 15, or they might have just been standing at the Heat 15 table. But like, he looked like a cool dude. And I'm really excited for their work going forward. So, what have I got here? So Elusion follows Keith Harrow, who's he's a smuggler, and he's been tasked to go to the Bradyak station, which is owned by the Hasbro Corporation, and retrieve a lance, retrieve lance and smuggle it off the station, and he's not really. I guess it opens with him doing this kind of like crafty, foxy kind of move to have a plausible reason for him to come to the station, like off his Union route or whatever he was doing. And so he finds out later he definitely shot himself in the foot by causing this incident with his ship, because he's trapped there for a couple of days. Shortly after he lands, he's chewed out by the station security, and has to go through these red tape hoops and stuff like that as he's trying to work out, not trying to work out, but make contact with Lance and see how quickly he could leave the station. And it's not. It's shortly revealed to him that Lance is a person, and then that complicates the matters. And then there's a bit of a corporate conspiracy going on with the Hasbro Corporation, what Lance is, and the assistant director. What was his fucking title? Is the assistant regional director or something? Atkins dude. And yeah, he's coming to the station to just see what's going on. And yeah, I don't really want to spoil too much, because I think, oh god, did I spoil in the original overview video? I hope I didn't. But no, I reading it for a second time, I had a lot of fun just like seeing, paying more attention to the whole interplay between all the characters and a bit of the conspiracy going on there. And it is actually a really cool short story. And yeah, so like once I knew what was going on after reading it the first time, go through, it's like, I can pay attention to like how all these characters reacting, and I'm like, okay, I get this now, like because of this and that, and like and it was just a whole lot of fun, and while I do have a bit of like questions over the main bad guy, spoiler thing, motivations towards the end, it was pretty tight. Like once I kind of started writing my notes and sitting there and thinking about, like, I got most of the motivations, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what happened here. And I actually really liked, once I kind of thought about it, like, Atkins isn't, once I really thought about it, the main bad guy isn't really as bad as I initially thought going through it. But he's just a, I think he's more of a dick. Like, you find it, maybe his intentions are a bit better, but he's still just a self-serving dick, and once that fell through, he's just like, fuck, I gotta look after myself, which is that, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad point of view to have, it's just sometimes there's better ways to go about it. And other than that, my big hand up is definitely with the end, and I think in TBW, slight spoilers, with L-Rady tagging, with L-Rady tagging along after leaving after L-Rady, the chief of security, tags along with Keith and his plan at the end, and leaves Bradyak Station, and I just can't get over it. It's just like, what's your plan? Like, I get why you did it, but it's like, I feel like, it's gonna be, what was the name of the planet that they're going to? Was it, oh shit. Yeah, it was Canyon. It's like, I just get the feeling like she's halfway to Canyon. She's a few fucking bottles, she's like half a bottle of rum in. She's like, fuck. What have I done? And he's like, shit. At least that's my interpretation. It's like, once it comes out, she's just gonna be like, oh, fuck. Or like, she's fucking, wasn't the fucking funny bit I was playing in my head. It's like, she's like halfway to Canyon, she's like half a fucking bottle of rum down, and she's like, oh, fucking Canyon, oh god. I was like, I just couldn't get over that. I'm just like I get it, but I feel like you haven't got this through. But yeah, it was a nice ending. It even chilled my bitter heart, where I am tired of the guy gets the guy and they live happily ever after. But I was really interested. Like, I'd really sort of like to see, not all the characters, but maybe one or two of them. I'd like to see a story from what's his name? GM Rader, after these events, whether it's Mills at the Bradyak Station cleaning up, or wondering what to do after these people left, or with L-Rady picking up after she's on Canyon. She's something that's happened there, or with the person that goes along with Keith at the end. I'd like to see these perspectives after this event, because as much as I like stories about events like that, I actually really like to see what happened to these people after that, and I think that's a more interesting thing. Like, after the dust settles and the adrenaline goes down, it's just like, what the fuck are you gonna do now? Is there some heinous crimes? But yeah, no, so I think that's, yes, I'm really excited. Like, maybe they probably won't, maybe he might never continue on in the same universe with the same characters written in Elusion, but I definitely interested to see his work going in the future. And I don't think I really had... Yeah, I don't think I had really much, like, critical notes. Like, even though from early on I was thinking too hard about the motivations, but once I went through, like, it was really fun to see how, obviously, the writer thought about it before the reader did. So, it's like, yeah. So, next up, we had the Fox Not Fucked, which by First and Whole, illustrated by Koidal Kairi, which I've already done in the poem video. And then after that, we've got Active Imagination by BlackTeagan, which is a fucking sexy comic and also adorable. Like, I like, I just love the last 2 pages of it. It's fucking great. And then, so next we've got The Fairy's Tale, written by DarkEnd and illustrated by the Tide Tigress. Oops. So I really love the Tide Tigress's artwork. It's just... I think... Yeah, I don't think I'm familiar with the artist. The style's not really ringing a bell. The name is, but I think I'm getting the name confused with a writer in the fandom. I think that's the problem I've got there. I think Yeah, this was one of the ones where I didn't really write any notes about. So yeah, so a quick look at the Tigress's work. They have a Tumblr, a Patreon where they do a moving day comic, and just the use. I quite like their style. Checking it out. Yes, especially in the story. Actually, I like a lot of the illustrations. I think aside from that, yeah, I think definitely the spread across the first page of the story is my favourite one. And the rest are more just small type pieces, which are nice, but I like the big spread. It's definitely really cool. So Fairy's Tale is a fun sort of telling of a story from Mab. It's about so how she's tricked these two warring kingdoms with a plan to stop kind of fighting, and then kind of win in her own kind of fairy sense in the end, and gain something from it when it felt like she was gaining nothing. I don't know. I'm so bad with fantasy stories, so bear with me. But yeah, no, I did really enjoy the story, and I think I'm probably going to be overhashing mostly what I said in the overview video, where, I mean, yeah, so like, I do really like the tone and the voice of the piece, and unfortunately I haven't read it a second time. Like, that was the next one I was planning on doing, and then writing notes so I'd be able to talk about it. I get more so other ones, but I didn't get around to it. It's not really indicative on the story. I think it's just more on my mood. Like, I generally, I'm not as interested in fantasy stories, and yeah, and I think, and like yeah, I don't want to come off as rude, but I probably am. But I do like the story. Like, I really did enjoy it. I liked how Mab ended up tricking the humans. What was the girl's name? So there's a dark-haired girl, and then like oh, I don't think she had a name. Yeah, the maiden character I quite liked. But yeah, I really enjoyed how Mab got the upper hand, like, over pretty much everyone. She saw through a lot of Oberon's ruses towards the end. Yes, so Mab is the herald of the court of Oberon, and the handmaiden of Titania, which I think is, oh god, can I remember how the fairy hierarchy went? Probably not, but but yeah, so like Oberon like helps her out with the plan, and also kind of tricks her, because you know fairies enjoy tricking each other as much as they like tricking humans, and so she sees through this, and kind of gains the upper hand on everyone. The maiden, the two kins, like, was it the Proud Kin and the Warrior Kin? Yeah, that was their names, and yeah, like, I really enjoyed that. And yeah, so I mean, it's a fun story. It's just I don't know, it's just fantasy and me. I'm like yeah, it's just fantasy and me, and I feel bad, but I don't know. So if you really enjoy fantasy stories, and you're not like me, who just, like, I stumble when it comes to talking about fantasy stories, yeah, no, check it out. It actually is a really cool story. Yeah, the maiden reminded me a bit of, was it, it's how do I pronounce the name? Where's my copy? Claw. Reminded me a bit of Sieska Graveraven's maiden character in her story Roses from the Claw anthology, and more of the self-determination and just and character things. Like they're like not so indicative of the trope of the maiden character, but more holy. Make them a more holy character in and of themselves. And yeah, look, right away. Next up, we got Torn, the poem by Telvassi, which I think I've talked about mostly in the overview and the poem video, which I think is better than what I do here. So check that out. Next, we've got Together, a comic by RayFKM, which I think, I could talk about this one a bit more because there's a bit more of a narrative. It's got a bit more of an obvious narrative from my dumbness. So it's really like it's a nice touching piece of this lesbian couple. It's going back to one of her old studios but before she made it big in the photography kind of fashion world. They're just talking about, and they find some photos of them back in the day, and I really like the body type shown in the art style, and it's really nice to see RayFKM do work more with backgrounds in some of the panels, and just a lot of the character space is actually really great. No, I really adore this comic. I think some of my favourite panels are the ones towards the end. Do they have names? Oh fuck, they probably had names. I've totally forgotten. Where Julia takes off her glasses when she's laying with her partner, which I've lost her name. I do absolutely love it. It's an interesting piece of them in the current, and then them looking back and how they've changed. Again, I like to go back to the comics, but I've got a bit more on the mindset to talk about them. Next up, we've got The Promise by T.J.Minde, illustrated by Spackard, which I did mean to look them up too, because I actually love their artwork in this one. Mostly because it was a bit more sexy and smutty. It's like, oh yeah. So this story, I was actually really excited when I saw some of the preview stuff about it coming out in Hit 15, and the blurb where it talked about this guy who is playing at his best friend's wedding, and she's getting married to his old lover. And I was really interested to see where it went. I think I was expecting a bit more drama and farce, as you find in more like of Carl Gold stories. And this one was a bit more really nice character work, which I actually love T.J.Minde for. Like I've only read like a story or two of his, but I think that's definitely shown through what I enjoy most about his work. This one, when I just turned the page, and I just saw this was next. I'm like, oh fuck! Like I wish I wrote some notes because this is just gonna be like, yup, it's cool. Because there's a lot actually I want to look into more, and I kind of this one where I wish I had more motivation to do lately. But no, I do love it. The rat's character name was AC. I can't even remember the fucking characters. So it actually opens with a really nice scene of Ace waking up shortly after confirming his promise to his best friend that he'd play his cello at his wedding. And he hadn't touched the cello, I think it was 5 years, ever since he broke up with, I think his name was just Kit. I always feel like Kit is just like, just a shorthand name, but I think that was his name. So he hasn't played, because he used to play a lot with, Kit, when they were dating, and this is nice pieces where God, this is the main bit I wanted to actually read and think about. But yeah, so when he's playing, he's I guess daydreaming, imagining, thinking about this emotional scene that he's playing through the music, sort of dealio. And yeah, so obviously when he's still playing now, he's still very emotionally attached to Kit, and a bit emotionally distraught between Kit and his fiance, his best friend. What was Mary? No, what was her name again? Shit. Julie. His best friend's Julie. And yeah, so there's a lot of there's a really sad scene where he's the next scene after that one where he's meeting with Kit and Julia, and they're talking a bit about the wedding, which is, I think, is a few months away at that point. And was it a year? I think it was 12 months. I think it was 12 months. It's like 12 months away. And he's practicing, and even while he's playing in front of them, he's still, I mean, there's such a this emotional daydream about them and him being on the outside and stuff like that. And it was really sad. And I really love look, I love ratty boys. I love twinky ratty boys, and that ratty boy is so adorable. But I mean, as long as I don't think about how fucking sad and depressed he probably is right there. But just look at him. His cute hair, cute ears. Yes, I love the work that Spacker did with Ace's character. Just a lot of those illustrations. Just drip fucking sad rat. And then there's sexy rat later on. Yeah, so I do love the story. Like, now I'm getting a bit more animated when I'm thinking about it, and this is probably where it would help if I had some notes or read it a second time so I could convey it a bit better. But I did really love it. A nice ending too. One thing I also liked is I really liked how Ace wasn't good. He's not the best. Like especially early on. Like even though it was 5 years and he first plays it in the first scene, and even though you're washed away with this emotional scene, he's thinking of while he's playing, and then when you come back to reality, he's critiquing himself and talking what's spoken the story that he's still messing up, like, and you're brought back into reality where obviously it's been 5 years since he's played the fucking cello, so he's not the best. He needs practice, and and even when he plays for Kit and Julie, I think it's 12 months before. Let's just go 12 months, and they comment like, he's still really sweet, but like, that was such a sad piece because his emotions played through his music. Cool deal, but like there's like, hopefully you'll be ready. Because like you work out those kinks where he's played the wrong note or done it badly, and yeah, there's it's kind of interesting how a bit more tied his music is to. I mean, even though you get it with those emotional scenes, but you kind of, in terms of like a more realism factor, is that like he played a lot with Kit, and how that affects him, because even as Kit says, like, he lent on Ace's cello playing, which is better than, was it a violin or a flute? I can't remember what Kit played. But yeah, but Ace relied on him because I think he said he didn't play much by himself. Like, he really only played with Kit because they were dating, or I think back in high school or whatever it was. And that was a steady rock to his playing. Yeah, so basically, yeah, basically, I liked how he was a bit shit at playing cello, and even by the time the wedding came around, like he's pretty good, but he wasn't, like perfect. Applause staying up, and everyone's crying, and someone nearly dies because it was so much. I mean, it's a good cello player. He played a nice song for his wedding, the wedding of his all his friends and ex-lover and his new lover. But yeah, he wasn't like trophy movie kind of playing. Yeah. So John was a nice character too. I like John Wessex. He was a really good character. Like he was a nice contrast to Ace. But by the time he's introduced in the story, like even though he comes off a bit much of that happy character, it's just like, and you just want to just shove him the fuck away. Yeah, no, I really loved The Promise. Like, it played up to, it lived up to the hype I had for it, so I had high hopes. So, yeah, so I really need to read more of T.J.Minde's work. Next we got the sexy ad by Neverwolf, Breaking Point. I mean, you have to buy Heat 15 to see what the ad looks like, but it's worth how much is Heat? Is it $15.99, $18.99? It's worth however much Heat is just to see that, just that ad. Then you get all this other cool stuff. Next after that we got the poem Choosing by Utunu, where I spent a nice lovely amount of time talking about that in its own poem video. And then we've got Every 9 Lives or So, written by Tempe and illustrated by Golden Druid. So yeah, this story is probably one of my all-time favourites. It tickles a lot of my fancy with kind of supernatural things interwoven with a contemporary setting with people and lives and so the general gist of it is there's these two these two felines, and they have immortal souls, and so they've known each other for like centuries or millennia, ever since the early days of man, or also of man or humanity, whatever. And yeah, so the tie-in with the title of the story is like every 9 lives or so of theirs, they both remember, like something happens, or like they remember their their past lives and their memories. Like sometimes there's nothing that like I love all the nerdy stuff that's kind of really expertly put out through the story, where like sometimes they don't remember and they have a life where they just have a life and they don't remember, and then other times something happens and they get such a deja vu and then they remember their previous lives, and so it's about every 9 lives or so where they both remember all their previous lives, remember their like an immortal soul, B are close enough to each other, or were their lives where they did remember were close enough to each other so that they could communicate in some way or form, and C, they were roughly ages to talk to each other. Like basically, but it's really, really cool. I've talked about this a couple of times to people at work. I was talking to Georgina in the deli, but a couple of days before I went on my holidays about it, and it was really fun. So yeah, I'm a little talked out of it, but this is one story where like I'll always bring it up and say, oh my god, this is so cool. I love this. So it's got lovely artwork illustrated by Golden Druid, which, hang on, I'm going to double check, because I'm pretty sure they've done something somewhere. Okay, so it was just they've done a couple of like portrait style pieces that I've seen a bunch on Twitter. I think one of the people I follow who tweets a lot of stuff, so I think that's definitely where I'm more familiar with it. Yeah, I love the artwork in this one, and I wanted to get. Okay, so one thing I wanted to do before I did this video is I wanted to see if I could get some kind of shirt that's similar to the shirt that he's reading. The builder is reading. But yeah, I never got around to it, and I was just lazy. But I love it to have a shirt like that. I mean, what is it? Was it somehow Tempe King works into the story that shirt is screen printed, and I'm like, oh. Yeah. So these immortal souls, so one's the builder and the other one's the teacher, and they're meeting up at this coffee shop. I forgot. I was so busy thinking about the history. I forgot about like actually what happens in the fucking story. So they're finally meeting, but this time they're actually meeting face to face. There was a couple times where they got really close to doing it. One time, the teacher was sailing to, I think it was Paris where the builder was, and her ship gets lost at sea, and that life is, it's lost. He waits there for 2 lives, and she never makes it there. And then I think that was like fucking 800 years ago or something that was alluded to. It was a fucking long time. But yeah, so they're finally meeting at this coffee shop, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And also there's yeah, obviously, yes, and there's just a kiss. That's the amount of intimacy that's going on. There's obviously, yeah, because they're meeting, finally talking, and they want to have a relationship together, which is actually really neat. And there's some age difference there, which is not explicitly droned on about, like it's subtly there, which is really cool. Yes, there's no lies. I was like, oh, this hot mama teacher. No, she's a librarian. That's right. Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I really want to read it again. now I'm talking to me about it. So yeah, no, obviously, pick up Heat 15 for this and the ad by Neville Wolf, obviously. Twice as much value. These illustrations. Also, I love a lot of kind of the interesting quirky things about their characters and how it ties into who they are in terms of their immortal soul. So was it? Yeah, the builder's got his lucky coin. He's got his e-cig. There's something else going on. I forgot. Oh yeah, and I also like how they're sitting out in the rain because they're like, it's just rain. It's like I really like that kind of character thing where it's like they've waited literally thousands of years to meet up, and they're not gonna let a little bit of rain while they're sitting outside on the cafe patio disturb them fucking finally meeting. Yeah, it's so cool. I forgot what the other thing was. Next up, we've got the ad. So next up, we've got the ad. Côte de Chateau, Adult Retreat, by Mab W. Actually, I really like this. The style reminds me a bit of Blue Panther. Actually, I quite like that ad. It's always weird when you see a cock furry. It's like, and sometimes more. This is a fucking But yeah, no, it's always weird. Like sometimes, like you always expect it to look kind of fucking goofy, but sometimes you see them like Yeah, that's great. It's like I don't know why I was thinking it to look not good. Next up, we got the gorgeous comic, Dreams in the Sand, which is the one I actually really wanted to look into and read about. So yeah, that's the main reason. But it is gorgeous. I absolutely love the work that oh, sorry, let me double check the name of the artist. The work that Lorian did with it. And it was absolutely gorgeous. A lot of especially the work they do with the characters, because they're I guess definitely abnormal kind of characters. And yeah, it's just very, very interesting. Last up, we've got Pole Position by Jaden Drackus, and with my silly little annotations to remind myself which character was what, which wasn't really important, but in terms of me getting along to who was sitting where at this, the opening few paragraphs, I was getting a bit lost, so I had to do that. So yeah, so first off, I did really like Pole Position. It was actually really a lot of fun. And I think the only reason I have so much to talk about it is because mostly I wanted to, like in a kind of good way. It's like I was expecting it so much, I was hyping it up so much, and I was thinking about it so much, which is why I wanted to talk about it so much. So, and yeah. So Pole Position follows along with Kit, Dave Turner, and he's sitting around like this post-game party, because I think it was one of Lucas Stewart Driver's one, and he's there with a bunch of his old crew, like his old crew chief, and along with as you find out later, his partner John Wallace and like his crew and whatever, and Kit's new co-owner Mike Thompson, the elk dude, he's there, and he's asking around like, oh, do you have any kind of stories about wives or girlfriends? And they all kind of chuckle and look at Kit, and he's like, well, and basically he's telling his he sort of so he comes out to Mike Thompson and explains that John Wallace is his boyfriend, and so he tells him this one story about them. Was it? Yeah, it's the Always Watch Your Weasel story, and yeah, it was actually really fun. So so like basically it's like one of those kind of like boyfriend does kind of stupid kind of thing to level the playing field, which is the race, because they're both race car drivers in NASCAR or whatever, and so basically while they're qualifying for this race, which is one of Kit's really good tracks, and he's on a good run to win the championship, and it's alluded to being one of the last good times that they can ever have like a decent race together, at least in terms of this season. So when John's engine blows on his car, he's a bit upset about it, and he plays it a bit too much to this plan. You find out later on. And it's actually pretty good. I actually quite liked how well-rounded the main characters turned out to be. Once I read it a second time, I started looking at it and picking at it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty good. I think without talking about it too much, the ending was pretty fun. There was the whole punishment thing, I think, was a bit too much. I'm like, oh, that's a bit... I mean, like, he said it was a bit shitty, but, like, Jesus Christ. And yeah, so I think I'll just be lazy and just go through the more important notes I wrote down about this and kind of probably elaborate a bit more. So the purpose is, like, I actually really enjoyed this. I think, I was thinking about it earlier this morning. So, like, it's a good story. Like, it's a pretty good and fun story. Like, I'd still recommend it. and it's really good to see it in heat, especially one of Jaden's earlier stories in his ongoing career. And but I think there's little things that stop it from being great, like oh my god, like you got to read this like now. And it's interesting when I was thinking about it, like it's like these little things who are there that, like, you know, it would. I was thinking it's not because I wouldn't say he's a bad writer or anything. Like, not because they're like, oh, what is he doing here, like that kind of thing. But more, but once he gets into more of like his stride and his personality as a writer, like I think these things will just naturally develop. And at least that's how I was thinking about it, because a lot of them are just are like, oh well, if you tweak this a bit more, it would have been great. It would have stood out. And it's not like you know, lame critiquey mean things to say. Because what he did right, I really liked, and like the things that were kind of lacking slightly, it was only slightly, and then, you know, so. But this is hopefully could be helpful. I'm talking about so yeah, I'll just go into it. But yeah, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to point this out. So yeah, hopefully I don't come off as a dick, but I'll just get into it. So the main one I got at the top is the storytelling to the group structure was a bit too static, and I was thinking about, and I was looking at conclusions. I'm like, okay, I'll pick something in heat. So I picked the Walter story by Kyle Golden. I think it was seven or eight. I can't remember which off the top of my head. And I was looking at a lot of the ways that he stopped it from being so static, which, I mean, it is a different kind of tone and point of view compared to, yeah, they are both stories about someone talking to a group about a story. Oh shit, this is the word I need to look up. Yeah, so yeah, like, while Charm's story and that is a bit more like apocryphal, and it's told from Dev's point of view, you can pick up some things, or you can glean a bit more from it. So like there was a lot of things that Kyle Gold did that, and in some other ones I had a quick look at, because he's done a couple, one with Lee where he's talking to a group at some cafe about this story, and that's a bit more closer to his point of view compared to Dev and the Wallet story. And while there were like interjections from Mike Thompson towards the end, there was, I think it was really just the one big one, at least. That's the big one that comes to mind, where he's talking about fire suits, and it would have been a lot more interesting and a lot more relaxed to see other people interject, because early on it's alluded that, obviously only Mike Thompson's the new person to this group, so the other people have heard the story, and it's from, I think, Lucas Stewart, the Coyote guy's prompting to tell the story in the first place. So it would have been interesting to see that play come into it, where one of them interjects and like, oh, fucking this part, like, I know there was something at the end with Steve, Dave's crew chief at the end, where he's talking about Dave was talking about how, like, he felt really bad about how pissed Steve was getting, and Steve's like, yeah, I was really pissed, like, we had so much work training your car, and then, you know, you went and missed the fucking race meetup, and then we didn't have time to retune the car for being at the back of the pack. And yeah, but it would have been interesting to see that stuff come into more in the first half, because when it wraps up, it's kind of wraps up, and then everyone kind of interjects, kind of thing. But it would be nice to see little things early on. I did like, the next point was, I really enjoyed the nice subtle furriness, like a lot to do with the advertising, and some the neat stuff with the Fox crew chief working in a tight garage, and so was it when Dave starts the car, he like runs for cover, and, you know, scowling look as he covers his nose because he's hypersensitive to it. There was the dookiness and all the dukes from the ferret, which was Dave Turner. I forgot to go into the fucking species early on. Oh well, it's too late now. Next one is okay. So The next point I got is it reads well. Like, so when I read it out loud, it actually scanned really well. Like, I really enjoyed it. There was only one thing somewhere where, like, I forgot, there was like a two or U was missing, and like but like it was yeah. Like nothing major, like nothing like, but just stumbled over sentence over and over again. Oh, so one point I got here is about the reporter character, Don Carver, the Grey Mouse, who pops up a bit here and there, and I thought he was a bit useless. He felt a lot more like that media liaison character from the Chevalier Firebirds team from the Devon Lee books. I can't remember his name, but yeah. So like, obviously, a reporter is like like Hal is in the story. He's looking for a story, and so there's a lot of times where like he kind of interrupts like an argument between Kit and John, and it's, you know, they're a bit more open about their relationship to each other, and I'm thinking he's standing like right outside, like, or he just asked him to leave, and he like any reporter would be like, I'm gonna hang around and try and listen into the window and kind of catch what's going on here. Like I get there might be like something going on where, like, you know, it's privacy, it's all, you know, what do you call it? Everyone's looking out for other. I don't know much about inner works in NASCAR and reporting and whatever, and between the racers and the drivers and the people looking for a story. But that's how it came across. It's like it's kind of just there, like. Yeah, I really like the advertising. I've got this one really wishy-washy point here, which, like, even I'm just like, what? So, like, Dave's anger dialogue, I wrote down that it was good anger, but it was a bit wild, and the narrative seems too flat, too steady, and, whether that's useful or useless, I mean, I think I should have written a bit of note to myself, because even I'm just like, like, I know. Yeah, I think it was just something to do with when he was angry in the later scene with Steve in there. And, it was just a very wild anger. And I would have liked it to be a bit more focused. I think that's more how I felt with the character. Yeah. It's, that's a note I wrote down. Okay, so this is one big one that I had, is, I would have liked John to have more of a chance to put in with this story. Like, he kind of just, no, he really did feel like he was just there on the couch, and I guess it comes into how static I felt this group, this tale told to the group felt. Like, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, why don't you defend yourself, John? He is talking shit like you, and Audrey's like, oh yeah, this was really stupid. I'd be like, I'd try to save some face. I'd point out, like, you know, if he tries to, you know, say something like, oh, you know, what was he doing here? And it's like, well, you did this that one time, and you know, start really have this nice kind of dialogue between them of their relationship. Especially with the punishments at the end. I'm just like, I know that wasn't told to the group, but it was more like a thought shared between them. But it's like, you know, I would like to see stuff like that where he butts in or says something just to bring it down, so it's not so like weighted against him, especially against this new guy. Cause like Mike Thompson's probably like, oh, Jesus, or if not for, or if, you know, John is pretty shy, at least his crew chief and owner could speak up for him. The last point I got here is the opening and closing lines really make the story homely and cozy. like the actual setting of a bunch of mates hanging out talking shit. So yeah, that was good. I think that's mostly it. Oh, so it is illustrated by the lovely work of Maristic, who I actually love so much. I think she's a bird now. There's other stuff she's in drawing. I actually love her work. So Jaden Drackus, he's a fox dragon. He's from Baltimore, Maryland, which I think is on the east coast of America. I mean, I couldn't point Maryland out on the map, so. So he came into the fandom in 2010. He has a bachelor in military history, which is why I probably want to read his story in Dogs of War 2. He is a NASCAR fan, so that explained the NASCAR story, which when I looked, I'm like, oh yeah, writing what you know. Oh, no, writing what you're interested in. There you go. I like that one better. So he's got 3 publications out as of talking. So this in Heat 15, the Trial by Error in Dogs of War 2 from Third Planet, and A Night Out by Fan 8, which is also published by Third Planet, which I need to catch up on Fan. I mean, I've read them, but I still need to own a copy. He's currently working on a novel and novella projects. And yeah, just focusing more on the submission game, which was really exciting. I think that's mostly it. But yeah, I did really love Pole Position. It is one of my more favourite stories in the anthology, just because I'm a bit of a fan. I'm a big fan. I really want to see where he's going, and where he takes his writing. Because as I said, like it's only a little bit stopping him from being running his cool stories as like the previous one, Tempe, with every 9 lives or so. So yeah, I guess I'll wrap this up. And so where is it? So Heat this year was brought to us by the managing editor DarkEnd. Tegan Gavitt was artistic director and layout designer. Alopex was another artistic designer, as well as executive editor, and chief publisher this year was Jeff Eddy. I'll go through the yep. So cover illustration was by McWender. Differential equations was by StormKitty, illustrated by Terrible Animal. Elusion was written by GM Rader, illustrated by ACE. The Fox Not Fucked was written by Thurston Howell, illustrated by Coil Coyote. Active Imagination, the comic, was by BlackTeagan. The Fairy's Tale was written by DarkEnd, with illustrations by The Tide Tigress. Torn the Poem was written by Telvassi, illustrated by Una. Together, the comic was done by RayFKM. The Promise was written by T.J.Minde, illustrated by Stephanie Kin. Breaking Point, the ad was by Neverwolf. Choosing, yes, so I forgot about that poem. Choosing was written by Edwin Harrell, illustrated by Autumn Sunrise. Every 9 Lives or So was by Tempe Okun, illustrated by Golden Druid. And Cote de Chaleur was by Mab W. Dreams in the Sand, the comic, was by Lorian, aka Bagheera. He's probably like a smoother like Bagheera, something like that. Pole Position was by Jaden Drackus, illustrated by Maristic, and the Afterglow Husky was by J. Jose Mister this year, which is actually, I really like it. I think he does his Chihuahua dog with the big ears or something like that. So yeah, that was Heat 15. It is, I think it's a good week and a half since I did the earlier part of this, but it's finally done. My god, I have sat on this far too long. But yeah, so pick up Heat 15. It is awesome. Hopefully you've sat through this probably like fucking hour and a half bullshit. So I've been Reyfar, and I'll catch you later.